Today, I wanted to talk about a musical idea that I think is a great reminder for modern people to just keep in mind when approaching classical music. It is this musical marking here, sans ho, sans ha. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. My French is really rusty. Um, this is a French marking. It typically is in franc or Eugène I've seen it in a couple other places. Usually um, musical markings are in Italian. So when you see them in French, um, yeah, they're a little strange, I suppose. Um, so the main thing that I wanted to sort of convey is, yes, modern man is everything is completely different from the pace of life. Everything is completely different from the pace of sort of the golden era of classical music. So we don't have horse-drawn carriages. Um, there's a lot of things we can do with our day that's to mitigate boredom. I get the feeling from reading and things like that that boredom was a quality of life in the 1800s and things like that. So um, certainly there is a fast-paced change that's happened in the 20th and 21st centuries, and so could be said that because of that, it's really hard to tap into um, the sensibilities of the golden age of classical music. So that makes sense to me. On the other hand, this marking here is almost to say, and I'll get to what this actually means. This marking here is almost to say that um, this is a problem that's been around for basically it's a human dilemma. It's not really a modern man dilemma. And I can think about one composer in particular, and I've read some of his biographies and things like that. I'm not an expert on Franz Schubert by any means, but Franz Schubert, I could imagine being someone that was just had this pace in his life where he just needed to catch up or be be further along than he needs to be. And he had obviously Beethoven as his contemporary that is just sort of plaguing. Well, a lot of composers felt like Brahms and Schubert. I feel like they had Beethoven sort of lurking over them, as if to say, "You guys need to step it up if you want to be as great as me," right? So even back then, it's very clear that fine composers had this sort of we must do more with our time. We must get ahead. We must be prolific. Um, even back then. So it's not to say that there's a pacing. Everything is paced the same now and then. That's not really what I'm saying. But I'm saying there's an agitation with sort of the human condition of trying to acquire, trying to get better, improving, um, get as much as you can. That sort of scramble, and that's really what this marking is about. This marking means without haste, and sorry, I can't pronounce it very well in French. So sans hâte, I believe, and yeah, hâte is haste. Sans means just negating it, so without haste. Now, without haste. So this marking, I first saw it when I was playing some, I think, Franck or perhaps some Eugène Ysaÿe, something French, and didn't know what it meant. I thought it meant, I think I thought it meant something completely different, and then I managed to look it up, and I think I had the wrong spelling, and I thought I thought this word is very similar to ho, so Haute, which is actually a much more common French word. It sort of means sort of being uppity or a little bit of uh, not grandeur, but just without airs or without being pretentious, perhaps. So that's what song ho means. So I think I thought this meant uh, without being uppity. But years later, I was being pretty deliberate about making sure I understood some of the markings in one of my pieces because someone had reminded me that, hey, you probably don't really know what these words mean, even though you think you do. So I looked up this particular expression, and yeah, I didn't have it right at all. It's not "don't be uppity." It's it meant without haste, meaning don't be hasty. Uh, Haste is a function of time, really, and so it was just basically saying get on your heels. Don't be sort of ahead. This is a great marking. So this marking in particular is written all over the Izai solo sonatas for violin. They're everywhere. So they'll have Eugene would mark sort of they use rubato ideas, but then he'd also put this there, and sometimes he'd have like a triple indication of, hey, I mean it, like get on your heels, don't play too fast. And actually, a little bit of a trivia thing too. That was his dying, his dying words. He was dying in his bed in I forget the town in Belgium, but his son was there, and then a pupil that was not not a regular pupil of Eugenie Zai, but someone that was a uh, big fan of Eugenie Zai. He managed to convince him to come and play some of the fourth sonata, which is the Chrysler solo sonata. And Eugenie Zai was his last words were something along the lines of "very nice, but it's a little too fast" in the finale. And the finale, I think, is marked. I don't want to embarrass myself. I can't remember exactly how it's marked, but it's a finale in a sort of vivacious tempo marking. And so this is early 1900s that this pupil came to Eugenie Zai, played this. So we're not talking the internet age or where Ferraris were driving around or anything like that. This is still like in a time when like 1930s when things were pretty slow still. So you can imagine a student with just so much um, feeling for life and agitation brought this piece to Eugenie Zai, played it, and Eugenie Zai from a different time was basically, guys, slow down. This is even though it's marked vivo allegro or something, you're playing way too fast. And so that's just again, and just sort of reiterate how the feeling for um, music has really changed, um, coming from a time when there were things like boredom and you had leisure time, and there was certainly this feeling of agitation because of we're all human, we all want to get better and live up to our expectations, our self expectations, but still we have to use this reminder, I think, doubly so nowadays because, you know, we're compounded with the feeling of trying to get ahead, but also the pace of life is just completely antithesis to this marking without haste. So I put this note because I think the most important marking to not musically, like it's not the most important marking as far as has meaning for classical music. I think this on a personal level, and perhaps I could be just one of many examples of that. This is a perfect memento of if you're going to play classical music, this marking's just pivotal. you have to, in order to tap into the golden age of classical music, you can't just be going around with this mentality of always ahead. This is really hard to get yourself in a performance situation out of that mentality. The beat's going, the beat's going. You have to be the person that's like on the heels, even if you have desires to get to the next passage and all this. You have to be looking backwards, a little bit forwards, and be in the moment. And this is the key to me, the key musical note to me, to sort of remember to tap into that. And it's all I can do is just sort of um, use this a little bit as like if you were in a business office or something, sometimes we'll have uh, sort of inspirational quotes. They'll have a piece. They'll have like a cat dangling by uh, a banister, and it just says like "keep it up." Like it's a little bit of a propaganda piece for me too. It's just there as a reminder. I don't actually feel like I've solved this problem or I'm anywhere close to actually living this when I play, but it is a memento. I'll catch it once in a while. I'll open my case in a performance situation, and I'll just like see it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, 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 that's right. It's a good memento. So I just wanted to pass that on to you because, like I was saying, sure, we do live in a really crazy time compared to the pacing of life in the 1800s. But don't forget that the human condition has always been sort of striving forward, trying for betterment. That's just part of being human, right? So we're not alone there. But do take this note without haste as a sort of guide to um, playing classical music so that you're more authentic and you can enjoy it more. You'll just basically tap into what the composers were sort of dealing with back then, and it's just a really helpful note.